Imagine hiring a brilliant new digital assistant who sits right inside your office suite, ready to help with every document, email, and meeting. That's exactly what we're looking at today. We're going to dive into how you, as an administrator, plan, deploy, and govern Microsoft 365 Copilot and custom AI agents. It's a key part of conquering the AB 900 exam. Let's get right into it.
To get you ready for the exam, we'll break this explainer down into 6 key areas: deploying Copilot and agents, feature controls and availability, governance and data security, permissions and rollout practices, the Copilot adoption site, and finally, managing AI with Agent 365.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Deploying Copilot and Agents, where we'll look at balancing user productivity with organizational security.
Think of deploying Copilot like giving a brand new employee a detailed map of exactly what they are and aren't allowed to access on their very first day. Standalone AI tools are kind of like a public library. You have to go out, search for a book, and bring it all the way back. But Microsoft 365 Copilot, it's like having an assistant who already holds the keys to your organization's specific filing cabinets. It operates right inside your daily workflows and leverages the Microsoft Graph, which is basically the underlying web of all your company's data. Because it's instantly synthesizing your charts and documents, you can't just flip a single switch to turn it on. As an admin, you have to take a modular approach, carefully balancing massive productivity gains with strict organizational compliance.
Moving right along to Section 2, Feature Controls and Availability. Here, we'll be understanding the administrative switches.
Imagine you're managing a massive office building. You've got a master power switch in the basement for the whole building, right? But you also have individual room keys for specific doors. In the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, Copilot is definitely not an all-or-nothing service. You have tenant-wide controls, those are your master switches, and granular controls, which act as those specific room keys. The basic flow here is simple. You, the admin, choose a control level, and that directly dictates the app access for the end user. Getting the hang of these tiers is an absolutely crucial AB 900 exam objective. So let's compare these switches. Tenant-wide controls are your global enable or disable buttons. They are super fast to apply, but honestly, they're pretty inflexible. You typically use a tenant-wide switch to just pause deployment across the entire company while you finalize your data governance plans. Granular controls, on the other hand, are applied per application, per feature, or even per user group. This is exactly what you use for a phased rollout. So, for example, you could use granular settings to let the finance team use Copilot in Excel today, while keeping Copilot in Word restricted for the legal team until some new compliance guidelines come out. Now, here is a massive point to remember for the AB 900 exam: underlying dependencies. Think about trying to read a book in a pitch-black room. You literally can't do it until you turn on the light first, right? Well, a really common pitfall is forgetting that Copilot features actually rely on other services being active. For instance, Copilot in Teams absolutely requires meeting transcription to be allowed. If transcription is disabled for a specific group, say human resources, then meeting recaps simply cannot be generated for them, period. You've got to understand how these foundational settings dictate whether Copilot is even available to use. To put that into perspective, let's look at a real-world healthcare scenario. These admins had to be super cautious because of strict privacy regulations. They actually started with a tenant-wide block, just pausing everything. Then, once the compliance teams gave the green light, they used group-based Microsoft Entra policies, which is your identity and access management system, to give access just to specific finance and operations staff. It's a great example of layering licensing, policies, and governance to manage risk, rather than just relying on one single technical switch. All right, let's dive into Section 3, Governance and Data Security. This is all about protecting the organization's information. Look, having all the right administrative controls means absolutely nothing if your underlying data is a mess. Imagine opening a massive physical filing cabinet. If you haven't clearly labeled the restricted folders, anybody poking around might accidentally read something they shouldn't. Copilot relies heavily on Microsoft Graph signals to answer user prompts. If your data isn't classified correctly, Copilot might accidentally summarize sensitive, top-secret financial drafts for a user who is just asking for a generic project update. So the flow you need to know is this. Microsoft Graph signals inform the classification policy, which then governs the final Copilot output. Strong data classification is a non-negotiable prereq. Let's check out a global manufacturing case study. These guys knew that setting up technical labels was really just step one. You absolutely need continuous human oversight too. So they established cross-departmental governance committees, bringing together leaders from IT, legal, and compliance. They also set up auditing dashboards to actively monitor the logs for any risky behaviors, like, say, a user frequently asking for summaries of highly confidential documents. The big takeaway here: governance isn't just an IT thing. It takes the whole shebang, cross-departmental teamwork, to make sure Copilot reflects your total business security.
Moving on to Section 4, Permissions and Rollout Practices. Delegating administrative power.
Think of this like the protocols for opening a bank vault. Different managers hold different keys, and literally no one person can open the vault by themselves. To manage Copilot securely, you have to delegate administrative rights properly. For the exam, lock these 3 steps in your memory. First, role-based delegation. You want to assign workload-specific admins, so your Exchange admins should be the ones managing Outlook Copilot features. Second, privileged identity management, or PIM. This gives admins just-in-time access, so they aren't walking around with permanent high-level access all day, which shrinks your attack surface. And third, separation of duties. This creates critical checks and balances. For example, making sure the person who approves an AI agent is never the same person who publishes it.
Rolling out these features is a highly iterative process. It's kind of like testing a brand new recipe on a small group of friends before you cook it for a giant 500-person banquet. You're going to want to run structured pilot deployments. A university, for example, might pilot Excel Copilot just with their finance team during budget season to get some targeted, real-world testing. Alongside those pilots, you need targeted training plans that focus on exactly when and why to use Copilot, not just the how. Finally, you must establish feedback and escalation loops. That way, if a compliance issue gets flagged by legal, you can adjust your data access policies immediately.
Let's transition to Section 5, the Copilot Adoption Site, your centralized launchpad.
Think of the Copilot adoption site as an airline pilot's pre-flight checklist. Before they ever leave the gate, the crew runs through a very specific, ordered list to guarantee total safety and readiness. Microsoft provides this centralized launchpad to walk you through a really logical progression. You start out by choosing the correct license. Next, you prepare your technical environment, getting your Microsoft 365 apps, your network, and your data governance squared away. Then, you actively set up Copilot and assign those licenses. And finally, you engage your users by tapping into built-in success kits and scenario libraries. It's essentially your ultimate hub for moving from technical setup to getting users confidently on board. And that brings us to our final stop, Section 6, Managing AI with Agent 365. This is where we talk about governing customized AI assistants. Imagine handing out ID badges and restricting floor access to a crew of automated robotic contractors working inside your building. That's essentially what Agent 365 does. Built right into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, it works seamlessly with your existing security stock, things like Entra, Defender, and Purview. The core principles you need to remember are identity, access, and visibility. Every custom agent is assigned a trusted identity and bound by an Agent 365 policy, which flows directly into secure operation. So instead of having invisible shadow agents secretly created by users, you turn them into accountable, well-governed digital coworkers. Let's break down the specific operational tasks you'll be handling with Agent 365. You can enforce least privilege access, which means ensuring a purchasing agent can only ever read specific SharePoint libraries containing purchase orders and nothing else. You can track run history to confirm that, say, an HR onboarding agent is actually using approved templates and absolutely not touching sensitive employee data. You also get incredible audit trails for security incident response, so you can see exactly what data an agent interacted with. And maybe most importantly, you can require approval workflows before any new agents can even be activated by your users. Mastering these visibility and control principles is absolutely key to passing the AB 900 exam. But zooming out beyond the exam for a second, I want you to ask yourself this. If a user in your tenant built a custom AI agent tomorrow, would you even know what data it's looking at? Balancing this mind-blowing productivity with rock-solid security is literally the future of IT. Are you ready to manage it?